We're on the line here with musician, singer, and songwriter Eli Lev, who is currently on the road promoting new material. Eli, how are you?
Hi, Kim. Doing okay.
So you're playing all over the place. You're currently out in South Dakota, and I understand you've got a few dates lined up in West Virginia this year.
Yeah, so it looks like I'll be in Charleston, West Virginia, and I'll be in Fayetteville in September, and I'll be in Lewisburg. Yep. So those are my three in West Virginia right now.
So when you're taking these songs out, are you traveling with a full band, or is it more of an intimate setting, acoustic type of situation?
Yeah, it's a solo show, but I've got acoustic guitar, I've got harmonica, I've got flute, and I also use a loop pedal. So there's it's kind of like a full sound that I'm able to do.
Nice. I find that fascinating with, like, Ed Sheeran, of all people. He does some really neat stuff with loop pedals.
He crushes it, man. He's amazing at the loop pedal. Yeah, I'm nowhere close to Ed Sheeran abilities, but I do use it a little bit.
You've got a pretty distinct sound that seems to check a lot of different boxes. I hear the sort of indie folk thing that's pretty prevalent with guys like Zach Bryan, Jason Isbell, and Noah Kahan, but there are these like neat electronic flourishes as well and kind of genre bending elements. What are some of your primary musical influences, like in the macro, but also specifically what influenced, let's say, your latest project?
So yeah, Present Journey has got 4 out of the 5 songs are out now. Then one more's coming. And yeah, this recent project is kind of like it's a mixture, I'd say, like Jack Johnson, Jason Mraz, and yeah, Ed Sheeran, I guess, really, because there's a laid back approach to it, but it's also like full on big pop production.
Right.
So yeah, and then there's also some intimate moments in there too, which I think kind of like connects with like the Jason Mraz vibe. But there's also like a little bit of there's a little bit of country in there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like, you know, Tyler Childers, you know, a little bit of Tyler Childers.
Oh yeah. People love Childers out here.
Yeah. He's incredible, man. He's a big influence on me too.
As far as the studio, what's your approach in there? Are you bringing in musicians, or are you like programming things yourself, or just playing multiple instruments? Because there's a lot. It's pretty dense as far as texture.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm in the studio with the producer, and we're kind of like co-creating and co-producing. This album was produced in Manassas, Virginia, actually. It's really cool because I have like a part of all that. Like, you know, we're laying down guitar, we're laying down drums together, right. We're laying down bass, and, you know, we're adding like different elements like in real time. So it's a lot of fun.
It's like a sort of programming a little orchestra, the layering of things like that.
Exactly.
The mention of Manassas actually brings to mind the Stephen Stills project released, I believe, in 1971. Are you familiar with that record?
I don't know. I don't think so, actually.
Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young were sort of at odds at the time, which wasn't at all uncommon for the period. So Stills sort of broke off on his own to do this other project with Chris Hillman, formerly of the Byrds, and a bunch of other guys. The band itself and the eponymous debut album were both called Manassas, and it's probably my favorite Stills record. It's this sort of underappreciated gem. I always recommend it to everyone.
Definitely check that out.
Cool. I'll check it out. Yeah.
But I digress. As far as songwriting, are you of the belief that the more rooted in personal experience, the better? Or do you often take on like a character or write from different perspectives? Is everything kind of rooted in you, or what's your approach in that aspect?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think a lot of my, you know, personal kind of travels and experiences obviously inform the songwriting a lot. But for example, you know, They Say is a very, you know, personal song about all the advice that I got when I was growing up, and how, you know, a lot of it isn't necessarily all true from my experience. But then you take a look at a song like, you know, That Universal Song, and it's kind of like, you know, from the perspective of, you know, just a girl listening to music on a train in the city, or
Right.
a guy just on a cruise. You know, it's about more of like the universal kind of consciousness. So it depends, but I would say most of them are pretty much from personal experience. Yeah.
I did want to talk about the Four Directions project of yours, which essentially is 4 EPs that come together to form a composite whole. That's such a neat approach to the to artistic storytelling. Was the project conceived that way initially?
Yeah, it really was from the beginning. I had the Four Directions idea, and that came from my time on the Navajo Indian Reservation in northern Arizona, the Four Directions idea. So I really was looking for some kind of guidepost or some kind of story that would help me through becoming an independent musician. And so came up with the Four Directions, and had a plan to do each direction as an album. I didn't know the names yet. I didn't know the timeline, but I just started with East and kept going until they were done. I think it took me about 5 years overall to finish the whole project.
You've recorded a number of EPs, which for the layman is a more condensed project than your standard album, generally 15 to 30 minutes long with 5 or so tracks. I really think there's something to be said about expediting that process, which allows an artist to get songs out there within greater proximity to the time they were written, because the passage of time during a full album production cycle can sometimes see an artist drifting away from the person they were when they wrote certain songs.
Yeah, no, I mean, to that point, I've only recorded EPs. I have never recorded a full album under the Eli Lev project. So, Four Directions, it was 4 EPs. Walk, Talk, Dance, Sing is an EP, 5-song, pandemic mixtape. And then this upcoming album, Present Journey, is an EP. That's part of the Three Worlds project. So it'll be Present Journey, 5 songs, Past Lives, 5 songs, and then Future Myths, 5 songs. So again, the EP is my favorite format, really, because it just allows me to record the songs in a year and get them out the next, pretty much.
You seem to always be hard at work on both the touring and recording fronts, having released music just recently and currently out on the road, obviously. Do you already have the next one in the can, or are you sort of taking that as it comes as far as the next project?
Yeah, so I recorded the next EP in the Three Worlds project called Past Lives. I recorded those songs in New York last month before I went on tour, 2 months before I went on tour. So, those songs I'll be producing and developing throughout the year, and they'll be ready next year.
Where can folks go to learn more about your work and upcoming shows, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I would say the best place would be my website, just the eli-lev.com. And then they'll see my tour dates. They can listen to my music. There's lyrics and stuff up there as well. There's also a place where they can join my Levitators community. Get it? Levitators.
Love it.
So they can join there, and we do live streams, and I share music before it comes out, and it's a pretty amazing community of people around the world.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's about all I have. Do you have any final thoughts you want to leave readers with, or?
All good on mine, Cameron. Thank you so much. You're awesome. Appreciate you.
Oh, this has been great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.